The lungs in the human body occupy a central and indispensable role as the primary organs of the respiratory system, functioning as the interface between the external environment and the internal biological processes that sustain cellular life. And though they are often simplistically described as the organs responsible for breathing, their importance extends far beyond the mere act of inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide, encompassing complex physiological, biochemical, immunological, and regulatory mechanisms that are essential for the maintenance of homeostasis and general health. Structurally, the lungs are two spongy, elastic organs situated in the thoracic cavity, protected by the ribcage, and separated by the mediastinum, which houses the heart and major blood vessels. The right lung is typically divided into three lobes: superior, middle, and inferior, while the left lung has two lobes, sacrificing space in order to accommodate the position of the heart, and within these lobes the bronchial tree branches repeatedly from the trachea into primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, bronchioles, and eventually culminating in millions of tiny alveoli, which are the microscopic air sacs responsible for gas exchange. These alveoli, each surrounded by a dense network of capillaries only one cell layer thick, enable the diffusion of oxygen into the bloodstream and the removal of carbon dioxide from it, a process driven by partial pressure gradients and facilitated by the thin respiratory membrane composed of alveolar epithelium, capillary endothelium, and a shared basement membrane, demonstrating the extraordinary efficiency and specialization of pulmonary anatomy. The act of breathing itself, or ventilation, consists of inspiration and expiration, controlled by the diaphragm and intercostal muscles. During inspiration, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward while the rib cage expands, creating negative pressure within the thoracic cavity that draws air into the lungs, and during expiration, the process reverses as the diaphragm relaxes and rises, allowing elastic recoil of lung tissue to push air out. Although ventilation appears effortless and largely involuntary, it is regulated by the respiratory center in the medulla oblongata and pons of the brainstem, which respond to changes in blood pH, carbon dioxide concentration, and oxygen levels detected by chemoreceptors, ensuring that respiration adjusts seamlessly to metabolic demands, whether at rest or during physical exertion. During intense exercise, for example, the need for oxygen increases and carbon dioxide production rises, prompting faster and deeper breathing, increased cardiac output, and enhanced recruitment of alveoli for gas exchange. Without this dynamic response, energy production through aerobic respiration would falter, muscles would fatigue, and the body would accumulate harmful acidity due to carbon dioxide retention. Beyond gas exchange, the lungs play a crucial role in acid-base balance by regulating the concentration of carbon dioxide, which directly influences blood pH through the carbonic acid bicarbonate buffer system. When CO levels rise, the blood becomes more acidic, and the respiratory system compensates by increasing ventilation to expel more CO, while reduced CO leads to alkalinity, prompting decreased breathing rates. Thus, the lungs are not only oxygen providers but also guardians of systemic equilibrium, working in tandem with the kidneys to maintain pH within the narrow range necessary for survival. Additionally, the lungs participate in immunological defense and biological filtration, acting as a frontline barrier against airborne pathogens, pollutants, allergens, and particulates. Mucus secreted by goblet cells traps foreign material, while ciliated epithelial cells move this mucus upward toward the pharynx where it can be expelled or swallowed, a mechanism known as the mucociliary escalator. Alveolar macrophages patrol the interior surfaces of alveoli, engulfing bacteria, dust, and dead cells, contributing to both innate immunity and the prevention of inflammation and infection. If these defenses fail or become overwhelmed, respiratory illnesses such as pneumonia, tuberculosis, bronchitis, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease (COPD) can develop, each compromising the efficiency of gas exchange. In addition to immunity, the lungs perform several vital metabolic functions that are often overlooked, including the activation or deactivation of various biochemical compounds. One of the most significant examples is the production and regulation of angiotensin-converting enzyme ACE, which plays a central role in blood pressure control through the renin-angiotensin system. Surfactant, another crucial substance produced by type II alveolar cells, reduces surface tension within the alveoli, preventing their collapse during exhalation and making breathing mechanically feasible. Without surfactant, as seen in premature infants with respiratory distress syndrome, the energy required for breathing becomes unsustainable. Thermoregulation is another indirect function of the lungs, as the inhalation and exhalation of air contribute to heat exchange, helping maintain body temperature, especially under conditions of stress or environmental change. The lungs also influence voice production, as airflow from the lungs drives the vibration of the vocal cords in the larynx, enabling speech, singing, and communication, with variations in airflow altering pitch, volume, and tone. Thus, respiratory function is intimately linked with social interaction and expression. The development and aging of lung tissue further highlight its complexity. In childhood, the lungs grow not only in size but also in alveolar number, reaching full maturity in early adulthood, and thereafter slowly declining due to reduced elasticity, diminished ciliary action, and decreased vital capacity as part of the natural aging process. External factors profoundly influence lung health. Smoking introduces tar, carcinogens, and toxins that damage alveoli and cilia, leading to emphysema, lung cancer, and chronic bronchitis. Air pollution contributes to inflammatory diseases and reduced lung function. Occupational hazards like silica, asbestos, and chemical fumes pose risks for fibrosis and cancer, and persistent infections can compromise immunity and respiratory efficiency. Regular physical activity, a healthy environment, and avoidance of smoking help preserve lung capacity and function, while medical interventions, from bronchodilators and corticosteroids to ventilators and lung transplants, play essential roles in treating severe respiratory dysfunction. Advances in technology have led to the development of artificial lungs, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation (ECMO), and sophisticated diagnostic tools like spirometry, CT scans, and oximetry, all of which deepen our understanding of lung physiology and pathology. Lung failure results in immediate systemic consequences. Without oxygen, cells shift to anaerobic metabolism, producing lactic acid and quickly exhausting their energy supply. The brain, being extremely sensitive to oxygen deprivation, suffers irreversible damage within minutes. Cardiac function deteriorates due to hypoxia, and multi-organ failure ensues. This stark reality underscores how every cell in the human body ultimately depends on the continuous, efficient function of the lungs. From the microscopic diffusion of gases across alveolar membranes to the macroscopic movement of the diaphragm, from immune defense and biochemical regulation to thermoregulation and speech, the lungs are deeply intertwined with survival and quality of life. Their intricate design, integrating structural resilience, biochemical sophistication, and neural coordination, reflects millions of years of evolutionary refinement, positioning them as not merely organs of respiration, but as dynamic regulators of human physiology, indispensable to metabolism, circulation, immunity, and communication. In essence, the lungs represent a masterpiece of biological engineering, without which the human body cannot sustain consciousness, movement, or life itself, and understanding their function is fundamental to medicine, biology, and our appreciation of the delicate balance that allows the human organism to thrive.